Thank you very much, Pino, for your kind invitation to this first workshop on mobile tool for emergencies and critical infrastructure. I'm Alexis from the University of Las Palmas, and I will talk briefly about sensors to protect critical infrastructures, application of wireless sensor networks. First of all, I would like to show you a nice picture of our grouping, our building at the university. Perhaps you can identify two intruders in the picture. I think they are here. Okay. I will start my presentation with an introduction. Then I will talk a little bit about wireless sensor network design considerations, and I will finish with some conclusions. Critical infrastructures such as transportation and energy distribution networks are essential for our society, and therefore are expected to be available 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. Wireless sensor networks have become a critical part of critical infrastructure, but its reliability needs to be significantly improved. We can find a huge number of real-world examples, and we have also seen recent examples in Spain, the cutting of fiber optics in the train infrastructure in Catalonia. These and similar examples clearly show how vulnerable critical infrastructure are, and hence how critical infrastructure protection is important in our society today. We can see that critical infrastructure protection requires a monitoring mechanism that enable us to detect failures and attacks as early as possible. Since many critical infrastructure have a large geographical span, critical infrastructure protection needs monitoring mechanisms that scale well, and in this context, wireless sensor networks arise naturally as a potential solution. In particular, wireless sensor network can be relatively easily deployed on a large scale, and as they are normally built from low-cost devices, they can provide the monitoring service in a cost-efficient manner. And in addition, the distributed nature of a wireless sensor network increase the survivability of the network in critical situations. However, the usefulness of wireless sensor network for critical infrastructure protection is primarily determined by the reliability of the wireless sensor itself. A wireless sensor network that fails in reporting a faulty condition prevents the critical infrastructure operator from carrying out the appropriate maintenance that may fix the problem before its consequences affect the critical infrastructure. And what are considered essential requirements to make the wireless sensor network reliable? Redundancy, integrity, real-time behavior, as well as security and availability. These features allows the monitoring services the wireless sensor network provides reliable. And to achieve this goal, it is necessary to consider the whole system in all its phases, because failures may happen and attacks may be targeted at any layer of the wireless sensor network architecture, from the node, hardware, and operating system layer, also through the networking protocol stack, and also in the middleware and the service layer. At the first stage, at the first level, in order to ensure that the wireless sensor network is working properly, it is essential to guarantee that all individual nodes are working properly. In this sense, there are three main lines of action. One is the design of intrusion detection and prevention techniques adapted to the wireless sensor environment. In this case, when the wireless sensor network is used for surveillance or monitoring, the behavior of all subsystems and even individual nodes is predefined, and therefore some proposals use this description of the system and its components to derive the expected correct network behavior. The assumption is that any other traffic can be considered to be malicious. The definition of the correct behavior can be stored on the sensor nodes themselves, and to detect attacks, each wireless sensor node needs to identify deviation from the expected behavior. Another line of action is to work at the level of the operating system of the nodes. The introduction of a microkernel approach into the world of the sensor node operating system allows to support different levels of security within a single node. And at the last line of action at this level has to do with the use of methods of code at the station to verify whether or not the code deployed on a sensor node is still unchanged. Besides the reliability of the nodes themselves, the networking protocols the nodes use must also be reliable. In this sense, wireless sensor networks use wireless communication, and it is well known that wireless channels are more vulnerable to environmental noise and hence less reliable. So at this level, it is necessary to guarantee a secure deployment of the nodes, the reliable transport of data, and the concealment of the network hierarchy. Regarding the node deployment, we should say that some researchers assume that in sensor networks, the nodes should be deployed in a random manner. However, others believe that in the majority of civilian applications, and particularly in critical infrastructure protection applications, the sensor nodes should be deployed systematically. Systemic node placement can help increase the fault tolerance of network and its resistance to jamming attacks. Regarding the reliable transport of data, although a robust network topology is a good start, it is not sufficient. It is also necessary reliable routing and transport protocol that run on that network topology. While reliability and security of routing protocol have been extremely studied in the past, transport protocols have received less attention. In this sense, simple monitoring application may ensure end-to-end reliability by mechanisms integrated in the application themselves, and they do not necessarily need a dedicated transport protocol. But there are scenarios where transmission of video streams from a small camera-equipped sensor could be triggered by some events. Such video surveillance mechanism can be useful in critical infrastructure protection in general. For example, in our group, we have proposed a surveillance system for isolated public road transport infrastructure based on this type of sensors that will be explained by my colleague Ruben later. Regarding the protection against traffic analysis, we should take into account that traffic analysis aiming at the identification of nodes that play special roles in the network can be exploited by an adversary to increase the efficiency of an attack against the network. For instance, a large amount of damage can be caused by disabling base station or cluster head nodes than by destroying ordinary sensor nodes. Techniques to prevent traffic analysis and hide the role of the nodes in the network can be beneficial. In this context, anonymous routing protocols that hide the target of packets from the forwarding nodes and from external eavesdropper that can analyze traffic patterns are very relevant. However, the problem of preventing the localization of cluster heads nodes requires more than anonymous routing protocol. And I will finish talking about the middleware and service layers. Sorry. Regarding the middleware, the service layer, we should say that the deployed wireless sensor network face fluctuation of unfortunate factors such as hardware failures or poor wireless medium, which directly impact their capability to deliver the required service. But the challenge at hand is to build applications that despite those failures, provide some service rather than halting completely. This property is called failing gracefully, and of course the performance of the service should decline in relation to the severity of the failure, but should restore to full performance as soon as the disruption ends. Since I think I'm a little bit late. Let's go to the conclusion. To finish this brief presentation, some conclusion. Wireless sensor networks are built out of low-cost devices, do not require additional infrastructure, and are self-healing. These properties are prerequisites when planning for monitoring of large-scale critical infrastructure such as energy distribution networks. Reliability is a key requirement for this kind of network. And however, the level of reliability also depends on system properties such as security, energy consumption, and radio connectivity. Challenge with respect to security and reliability need to be solved to make this network ready to use technology for critical infrastructure protection. And to achieve this goal, as we have seen, it is necessary to consider the whole system in all its phases. Node hardware and operating system, network protocol stack, and also the middleware and service layers. Thank you very much for your attention.